In this homework problem, we're going to look at application of divisions with remainders. Let's read the first question and highlight important information. Terry is sending care packages to troops overseas. She baked 111 cookies, and she wants to share the cookies equally among the 7 different troops. Now we have 2 questions here. Let's read them both. How many cookies will each troop get? And how many cookies will be left over? So those are the 2 things we want to find. Okay, so we want to divide or share the 111 cookies among the 7 different troops. And we're only going to send whole cookies, that's implied, by asking us how many will be left over, or else we break them into pieces and send crumbs. So let's use the calculator. We'll use the calculator on this whole problem for the division. So if we divide the 111 into 7 groups, notice we get 15 and some left over. So this is a decimal number and we haven't talked about these yet, but we're going to focus on the 15. The 15 represents how many whole cookies we could give each troop if they're shared equally, and then we don't have enough to give everybody 16, so there's going to be some left over. So let's write down our 15 first. So we know the maximum number of cookies each troop can get is 15. Okay. Now we want to see, well, how many cookies will be left over if each troop gets 15? Well, there's 7 troops, so 7 copies of 15 cookies. So 7 times 15 is 105 cookies. So we need 105 cookies to give 15 cookies per troop to the 7 troops. So how many are left over? Well, we have 111. We're going to send 105 to the troops, and the difference is 6. So we have 6 cookies left over. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Sean is biking at a rate of 16 miles per hour. He wants to bike a total of 132 miles. Now we have the questions. Let's read them both. What is the maximum number of whole hours he will spend biking? How many miles will he have left to travel after riding the maximum number of whole hours? Okay, so let's think about this. So if he's going 16 miles an hour and he has 132 miles, we can divide the 132 into groups of size 16. So you could think about it, if you needed to go 200 miles, let's just look at some nice numbers to make sense. If you need to go 200 miles and you were going 20 miles an hour, well, that would be 10 hours of time. So in the same way, so this was miles and this is your rate of speed, okay, will give you how much time it takes. In the same way, we could divide the total number of miles by the miles per hour to see the time. So let's do this division on the calculator. And we get this result. So now remember, the question asked us the maximum number of whole hours he will spend biking. Okay, so it'll take him 8 hours and a little bit more. Remember, this is a decimal, and we'll learn more about these later. Notice this doesn't mean he has 0.25 miles left after that. This isn't even measuring miles, this is measuring time. Okay, so we can't just use this as our remainder. We need to take the 8 and do a little more work like we did in the last one. So the maximum number of hours is 8 hours. Okay, now let's see how many miles he has left to drive or ride. Let's change colors. Okay. Well, if he went 8 hours at 16 miles an hour, let's see how many miles that would be. So 8 times 16 is 128 miles. Now he wants to go a total of 132. After 8 hours, he's gone 128. So the number he has left to travel will be the difference between 132 and 128. So this will be 132 minus 128, which is 4 more miles remaining. Let's look at the next one. John is baking apple pies. He has 101 apples, and each apple pie requires 9 apples. Let's look at the questions. What is the maximum number of pies John can make, and how many apples will be left over? Okay, so to find the maximum amount, we want to divide the 101 apples into groups of 9 apples, and each 9 apples would make 1 pie. So let's see what 101 divided by 9 is. So we have 11 and a little bit over. So this would be a fractional part of a pie, but we're not going to make part of a pie. We only make whole pies. So we're going to make 11 whole pies is the most he can make. Okay. Now, how many apples will be left over? Well, it's 9 apples per pie for 11 pies is 99 apples used. We have a total of 101 apples, so the difference between these two numbers will give us how many apples are left over. So we have 2. Let's look at the last one. Judy's favorite t-shirts are on sale for $19. She has $197 and wants to buy as many t-shirts as possible. Now we have the questions. How many t-shirts can Judy buy? Okay. How much money will she have left over? So we have $197, and we want to divide that into groups of size $19. Okay, so however many 19s are in 197, full 19s, that will be how many t-shirts that she can buy. So let's do that on the calculator. 197 divided by 19. Well, that's 10 and some left over. Okay, so she can't buy a partial shirt, so she can buy at most 10 shirts. And now let's see how much money she has left over. Well, 10 shirts at $19 a shirt is $190. And we're assuming taxes added in already, and we don't have to worry about that. So she has $197. Spending $190 on the shirts, so the difference is $7 that she'll have left over.